Am I the a-hole for not being another person who begs my niece to let her dad off the hook for leaving her mom for someone else? My brother left his ex-wife, the mother of his daughter, 16, for a woman he developed feelings for. This all went down a year ago. Now he's divorced from his daughter's mom and married to the woman he left her for. My niece has not taken it well. She hates her dad for leaving for someone else. About 5 months ago, she told him she will never accept his current wife. She will always hate her, and she will disrespect their relationship. She said there's nothing he can say or do to convince her otherwise. She told him she doesn't care if she chases his wife off or if she loses him in the process. They will never be a family, and he can beg, plead, and spend all his money trying to make it work, but she will never give in. When my brother couldn't get my niece to have a change of heart, he told our family and had our parents and the rest of our siblings talk to her about it, which they all did. They all tried to make her have grace for my brother, to forgive her dad, and or to see it as none of her business. They said she shouldn't take any of this out on his new wife, and she shouldn't lose her father over him falling in love. They even tried telling her that his new wife wouldn't do anything until he left her mom, but she didn't care and told them so. She said she's glad she's making them both miserable and that they deserve to be miserable. She said her dad isn't a good person and she doesn't have grace for him. She's asked everyone if they would be encouraging the same thing if her mom had left her dad for someone else. Of course, no one touched that question, because of course they wouldn't. They know it too. Nobody has been able to change her mind or soften her toward my brother and his wife. I'm the only person who hasn't tried, and I have been asked to several times already. But I refuse. I told them I don't agree with pushing her, and I want to keep a strong relationship with my niece. Everyone else has destroyed their relationship with her by pressing her to forgive. My brother told me this is about saving his relationship with his daughter, and that's more of a priority than my relationship with her. I held my stance then, even when my parents told me she needs us to try, because she deserves a good relationship with all 3 of her parents, especially her dad, who is always an amazing father. Other siblings have said I'm her favorite, that I'm the uncle she turns to the most, because I'm the youngest and closer in age to her than to most of my siblings. I still refuse to take part in it, and they said I need to really think about all the harm being done here, which I think is not on me at all. But perhaps others will say differently, hence my post. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. All 3 parents? She has 2 parents. Shaking my head. He has no right to say his relationship with her is more valuable than yours. If it meant so much to him, then he wouldn't have screwed it up. If you push her, then she will pull away from you, and maybe that's what he wants. Please don't give in. Not the a-hole. That was something I rolled my eyes at so hard when they were saying it. To call my brother's wife one of my niece's parents after such a small amount of time and everything that happened is so crazy. But they really are deluding themselves that all of them will be a happy little family someday. The first thing I want to say is this. Your brother's daughter's response to your family was powerful and well thought out. I honestly didn't expect that from her, but she showed a lot of clarity and conviction. She did nothing wrong. She has every right to feel the way she does and to see the situation from her own perspective, even if she's a teenager. You say you want to maintain your relationship with her, and I respect that. But let me ask you something, brother to brother. Did you actually approve of what your brother did? And if it had been her mother who had done the same thing, would you still be pushing her to forgive and rebuild her relationship? I never approved of what he did. I thought he went about it incredibly deceptively because he didn't just tell his ex-wife he wanted to divorce and then reach out to his now wife. He only left because he had a shot with his now wife, and she wouldn't do anything before he left. It would be awful to find out at some point that the only reason you're still married is because the person they really wanted didn't want them yet. And he admits he hadn't loved his ex-wife in years. So I don't condone his actions, and I have never pushed for them to have a relationship. I believe my niece has the right to feel as she does. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad and his wife I will be going no contact with them when I leave? I'm 17 male, but when I was younger and my brothers were born, 10, 7, and 4, they got away with everything. Breaking my stuff, stealing my snacks. going through my iPad, intentionally pouring water on my PlayStation, etc. I had enough, so when I was 15, my grandparents bought me a lock pad for my birthday. My dad was like, "Why didn't you get something he would want?" Little did he know, that's exactly what I wanted. My grandpa installed it when my dad wasn't home, and I'm the only one who knows the password. My siblings can't get in, so they'll slide stuff under my door like pens, toys, books, toilet paper, and they'll make a mess doing it. My stepmom and my dad just say they want my attention and want to play. I don't want to play with them. After them stealing my stuff and not being disciplined, I started resenting them. I then found out a way to stay away from them all day, school and a job. I tried out for football. I made it in, so now after school, I have practice and don't have to go home and see them. If I don't have football, I'm an FBLA and I'm a leader, so I have obligations to be at meetings. Once more, I don't have to see my siblings. I go home, take a shower, get dressed, drive to work 5 hours, come home. And it's usually 10:25 p.m., an hour past their bedtime, so they're in bed. I take another shower, make a healthy meal, usually a salad or a lettuce Caesar chicken wrap, talk to my girlfriend, and sleep. A successful day of staying away from my siblings. I only see them during breakfast for a few minutes. I usually come back down after my workout and shower, say good morning, grab a granola bar or fruit, and I'm out the door. 3 to 5 minutes around them. That's my only interaction for the day. My counselor talks to all the students at the beginning of the year. He asked me what my plan was after high school, and I was straightforward with him. Go to University of Georgia. Get my own apartment. Go no contact with my family. Start a personal fitness program. Settle down. Get married. Have 2 to 3 kids. Live my best life. Go through hell and hardships, since it comes with living. Die. Hopefully meet Jesus. Done. Life list over. My counselor told my parents, and they asked why I would cut off my family. I said, not Pops and Grandma, and my dad said he's done trying to freaking parent me. My uncles found out and said I was a prick. Am I the a-hole? I think not. You've got to do what you have to do. I would be upset at your counselor for telling what you thought was a private conversation. Yeah, I'm supposed to report him because it's against the guidelines at my school. I'd love to know if the 4-year-old currently gets away with the same nonsense against the 10-year-old that the 10-year-old used to do to you. Does he have the same rules you had when he was born? Is he just treated differently? No, they all get away with everything. They literally do this stuff together. Not the a-hole. Plan your exit strategy well. You will need a source of income and a roof over your head. The military may be an option. Training, roof, money, career. Otherwise, research and save all the money you can. Your family sounds awful. I wish you luck. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making my dad's wife feel uncomfortable because I told her she's not my mom or my parent just because she married him? My dad was a single dad by choice. A friend donated her eggs, and he used a surrogate who was another friend to have me, 25 male. So I never had a mom. I have someone who donated their eggs and another who carried me, but I was never their son. I only ever had a dad, and he didn't date or have any relationship until I was 20. He met his wife when I was 22, and he married her a few months ago. She's a widow with 5 kids of her own, but ever since they moved in together, she's called me her son and said things like, I finally have a mother, and you'll get the benefit of 2 parents in your life now. For the most part, she seems okay, but I did not like her talking like that. I gently tried to let her know that I appreciated her being there for Dad and that it was nice to know he wasn't on his own anymore, but she's just his wife. She would text or call me and ask why I didn't come for Mother's Day, a day I don't celebrate, or why I never came to see her or looked for advice from her. She was upset when I introduced my girlfriend to Dad while she was out of state visiting one of her kids. She even said it was meant to be a meet the parents, and I told her my girlfriend met my parent. My girlfriend and I have talked about marriage and kids. My dad and his wife know about it. His wife then mentioned how she hoped all 6 of her kids would give her a mother dance, and it wouldn't all be brides and their dads and nothing else. I told my dad it was like she was ignoring my gentle attempts to let her know she wasn't my mom but his wife. And he said he tried talking to her too, but she just had so much love, etc. So I decided to be blunter. I told her that I appreciated she was trying to be loving and supportive, but she's not my mom or my parent just because she married dad. And I emphasized that I have one parent, and there will be no mother at my wedding when the day comes. She's uncomfortable now and her feelings are hurt. Dad told me I could have embraced the love she offered and tried to keep things easy. I told him they weren't easy, and it was weird for her to push this when I never lived with her. And she has no say or influence in my life. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You don't see her as your mother. End of story. She shouldn't push those feelings toward you just because she felt like she's your mother when you tried to tell her you don't feel that way. She had very high expectations too, which were clearly not going to be made more realistic with me being gentle. Gentle was very easy for her to ignore. I'm sorry, but your father caused this. He needed to be more honest and blunt with her, and it was on him to rectify it. He knew what she was like, and it seems he expected you to roll over and go with it, so he wouldn't have to have an uncomfortable conversation with her. It's now time to have an honest conversation with him. That is inaction, and her inability to adhere to your boundaries led to this. In your 20s, you're not looking for a mother figure, and it's unhinged to force it on you. He did. He should have put an end to it and been the one to do what I did, since it was clear she wasn't going to listen to me. The whole thing was frustrating the whole way through, and it feels like it's still not over. Next story. Am I the a-hole if I gave my best friend's kids a different life-changing amount of money? I, 37 female, recently received a life-changing amount of money. I haven't told my best friend, 37 female, yet that she and her 2 kids, 12 and 2, will each be gifted a life-changing amount of money in an irrevocable trust. Here is where it gets a bit sticky. I want to give 12 female $2.5 million and the 2-year-old $1.5 million. The reason I want to do this is because I helped raise 12 female when she was little, and I still have her with me every school vacation. She genuinely feels like she is my child. She calls me mom, and there is no difference between her and my own children. It's the exact same amount of love. She was abused when she was younger, which has resulted in several mental health issues. Her therapist has said it may be difficult for her to live a normal life, and she will likely need lifelong therapy. The 2-year-old has his dad in his life. 12 female's dad OD'd. His dad is a lifer in the military, and he is very blessed with new clothing, toys, etc. 12 female is not. He is set up better in life. It is what it is. I grew up as the black sheep of the family and did not get the same opportunities my siblings did, which has had lifelong ramifications. I look at 12 female's life and can't help but see her childhood shaping up to be like mine, and I don't want that. While I can't change her situation, I can give her money to help her future. Money is a tool after all. My concern is how my friend will take this. In her eyes, they are both her children, and they are treated equally. I don't want her to see the discrepancy in the amount and think I don't love her son as much, or that I see him as lesser than his sister. I don't. But I am more invested in the daughter, and my motherly instinct is to provide for and protect her. In addition to this is a gift. This is of my own free will, so why can't I do this? So Reddit, am I the a-hole? 2-year-old will get more money because of the interest over an additional 10 years in a trust fund. 12-year-old will use the money earlier, so it will accumulate less interest. This is math, not emotion. Not the a-hole. This is how it should be explained. It should be about the math, not the emotions. And have the math ready to show your work. Also, the fact that the son will potentially have other money to inherit from his father's side. Set up the trusts for the kids without telling them or her the amounts, or even that they have the trusts. Money changes people, but if you truly want this for their future, do it quietly. Came here to say this. You can put an explanation on your will if you think you must, but it's not necessary. Not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not buying personal care products for my stepsister? My stepmother is super into all natural things, so she uses only all natural things. I don't even mean products that are labeled at the store as all natural. I mean she will actually make her own deodorant from natural ingredients. She also only uses natural remedies for things unless absolutely necessary. And she's anti-shaving because she believes our bodies are supposed to have hair. Thankfully, she doesn't force this stuff on my brother, 18 male, and me, 16 female, and we can use our own toiletries. This is because my dad and she have an agreement to not interfere with each other's kids. The only thing we kind of have to have is the vegan, all-natural foods only, which aren't actually that bad. Most of the time, I don't eat breakfast anyway, and my brother and I will sometimes go out for lunch, and during the school year, we also buy lunch and sometimes sneak in snacks. So it's really only dinner, which isn't that bad. It's different for our stepsister, 13 female. She is absolutely not allowed to use any chemicals at all. That wasn't too much of a problem before, or at least I didn't know if she complained about it. Now she started getting acne, and she hates it. Her mom keeps trying only natural remedies that don't work and thinks chemicals will just do more harm than good since it's not that bad. There are also other things my stepsister hates, like having to use natural deodorant, and she wants to use tampons instead because she hates feeling wet when she has her period. Her hair is also not really good and feels crispy even if she uses oil on it. She also wants to shave because she gets made fun of for having hairy legs. Because of the situation with our stepmother, our dad sends my brother and me money to our accounts for things like toiletries. He also gives us an allowance. My stepsister doesn't get an allowance, but she knows about the money we get and asked me if I can buy her some acne stuff, some hair products, razors, and tampons. That stuff all adds up though, and I don't want to spend so much of my money on it because then I won't have as much for stuff I want. I already use up all my toiletry money every month on stuff I need, so it would have to come out of my allowance and would probably use it all up. Edit. Because people keep bringing it up, she's already talked to her mom about it a bunch and even asked my dad for money. Stepmom is still not willing to get her these things, and my dad refuses to get involved. Not the a-hole. It's not your responsibility to provide for your stepsister. You don't mention her father in the post. Is he not in the picture at all? That would be the most reasonable next step to handle this situation, since your dad and stepmom have the agreement to not parent each other's kids. The other option I see would be to have a heart-to-heart with your dad about your concern for your stepsister. It might be a good idea for all of you to come together as a family in support of your stepsister. Without attacking your stepmom, of course. The teenage years are freaking brutal, and acne, deodorant that probably doesn't work, which leads to body odor, and body hair are huge sources of bullying. Maybe if you all kindly point out the situation from your stepsister's point of view to your stepmom, she might have a change of heart and be willing to find some kind of middle ground. My dad and stepmom both know how she feels. My dad is not willing to get involved at all. My stepmom just tries to say some stupid stuff about it all being natural and the way our bodies should be. Where is her biological father? He should be raising hell about this and providing what his child needs. He doesn't come around much.
Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that if she and her husband can't afford IVF, then they can't afford a child? This might seem harsh line, but to provide some context, my daughter and her husband have been dealing with infertility for years. They've tried a number of options and IVF is their most recent one. The first round was paid for by me, but it didn't work. Second round was paid for by her dad. That too did not work. It got obviously emotionally and mentally exhausting having to get a negative result after another, so I suggested they take a break and they did. Months later, they visited me and said they were ready to try again. I said that was great and wished them luck. But turned out my daughter was expecting me to cover this round. I was taken aback. I mean, yes, I do have money like my son-in-law pointed out, but it's not about me and what I have. It's about them and what they have as future parents. My daughter looked confused, so I explained that to me, it seemed they're not ready. Because if they can't afford a round of IVF, then they can't afford a child. My daughter got offended, and her husband told me all I had to do was pay for it and let them worry about the rest. I declined to pay, which caused an argument between us. My daughter said that I was being cruel to speak to her and her husband like that. I said I think they're not ready and I'm just being honest. My son-in-law took over the talking and told me that I was just hiding behind the honest bullcrap, because that line was the most heartless thing he and my daughter had ever heard. I apologized that they misunderstood, but he told me I was being selfish because I had kids, and now I'm robbing them of this experience. I assured him that the last time I checked, I wasn't responsible for bringing grandchildren to this world. I've done my part in raising my children, and their problems are theirs alone, even if it seemed harsh. They left and my daughter was crying. Then her husband emailed me about how disappointed and let down my daughter felt because of what I said. I wanted to call her, but I'm waiting for her to calm down a bit and I can apologize. I'm unsure, so am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Your son-in-law told you he knows you have the money? Wow, I think you've been generous enough. Not the a-hole. I have to wonder, how come he doesn't have his hand out to his parents? The audacity of these two coming around like Opie has $15,000 burning a hole in her pocket every time they ask for it. Not stay home. My sister went through round after round of IVF and just about everything else the doctors had to offer, and successfully. When I was about to embark on fertility treatment, she gave me wise advice. Before you start, decide at what point you will stop. Because fertility clinics will always dangle before you another thing to try or another round of IVF again and again, ad infinitum. It's up to the couple to be realistic about what they can afford financially and emotionally. It seems that this couple has hit their limit, sad though it may be. This is great perspective. I've never thought about it this way before, but it makes perfect sense, especially with how much many clinics seem to push additional services these days. Especially unfortunate considering how extremely emotional and vulnerable people will be when it isn't successful. Not stay home. Wow, the entitlement is strong with these two. Sounds like you're correct. They're neither financially ready nor are they mature enough. Sorry and good luck. My parents used IVF to conceive me. My parents made sacrifices to save up for it, budgeted and picked up shifts, etc. It was rough at a time, I'm sure, to come up with that money, but they did. And that discipline and sacrifice is exactly why they have always been amazing parents. Being a parent isn't easy, and I think Opie's son-in-law and daughter lack the emotional maturity a good parent should have when they can't grasp how absurd these demands are. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend to shut the heck up in front of my whole family because of the comment he made about my sister's pregnancy? My sister, female 36, and her husband suffered from infertility for a long time. And yesterday we found that she's expecting, which was amazing. We were all happy for her because we know how much this meant to her and her husband, as they've been through so much heartbreak and disappointment in the past. She decided to gather the family and make the announcement at my parents' house. My boyfriend and I were invited too. We didn't know about it right away till post-dinner, when my sister got up from her seat, held her husband's hand and made the announcement. We, the women, all got up to congratulate her. Once we sat down, my boyfriend seemed puzzled. He tried to talk to my sister for a bit, then asked her to tell him how old she was again. My sister hesitantly said 36. He made a face and said, "Wow, didn't know women at this age can still be functional when it comes to breeding." Sudden silence took over. My sister looked down, and then her husband lashed out at my boyfriend asking what the heck his problem was. My boyfriend tried to mumble something, but that's when I loudly told him, "Shut the hell up." He looked at me in shock, and my family stared at him. He seemed very offended and mad. He quickly got up, took his keys, and rushed out after saying, "Excuse me," which my mom replied, "Excuse you?" I apologized to my sister, but she started crying. So I was mad. I went home and had a fight with my boyfriend. He yelled about how I belittled him and insulted him in front of my family by telling him to shut the hell up. I told him what he did was not okay, and it ruined my sister's long-awaited announcement. He said he was giving facts, not personal opinions. I told him I did the same then. He got more agitated and said I owe him a huge apology after I insulted him publicly. I replied that he should have held his tongue. Facts or not. He went outside and then started giving me silence till I apologized for what I said. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. What facts does he think he was just saying? The fact that he's completely ignorant about women and fertility? He should be embarrassed. A friend's grandpa used to say, if you don't want to be embarrassed, don't do embarrassing things. Words to live by. Not today, home. Really think about if you want a guy that calls 36-year-old women non-functional and refers to pregnancy as breeding. That's objectifying as heck. What a nay-hole. And before people think I'm talking about it being harder for women to get pregnant as they get older, I'm referring to his phrasing and the fact he thought that was something that was okay to say. I mean, he's also wrong in general. Getting pregnant at 36 is not really much more dangerous or difficult than someone 5 or even 10 years younger. After 40 is when some risks increase more dramatically, but they are also manageable for the most part with regular medical care. Not stay home because his opinion was awful, wrong, and frankly not asked for and unnecessary. Not stay home. He said something really inappropriate. You told him, appropriately, to stop talking, but let's look further into why he's upset. He claims he is upset that you disrespected him in front of others, and he now feels that his reputation is damaged, belittled, insulted, damaged pride, instead of supporting him as a couple. He doesn't even mention what he said, and does not include consideration for how you felt. You felt belittled, insulted, and highly embarrassed that the person you chose to spend your life with and to build a future with would say something so inappropriate in front of your family, about your family member at a moment of good news, that your pride and reputation was damaged by his behavior and your choice in partner. You can get up and leave, which he did, but you don't get that choice because it is family. You can do it in a moment, but you have to face them again because they're family. He uses the defense as giving facts. He literally used "I thought," which is an expression of personal thought process. Ask him if he knows what a fact is, what an opinion is, and how to express them with words. If he is able to, then ask him to apply his logic to his behavior and word choice. And yes, opinions can be based on facts, and facts are just statements that can be proven true or false. So there can be false facts. And he likely just assumed something was a fact to form his opinion, so it was an opinion based on false facts. He still demands an apology for disrespecting him in public? Tell him you do not owe him a damn thing. You did him a favor. 2 favors, actually. You stopped him from making another inappropriate statement/claim which improves his chances of forgiveness. And you made it appear that you were addressing the issue privately. So they are more willing to forgive him for his mistake, with the assumption that he now knows what he did was wrong. No, he does not deserve an apology. He needs to thank you profusely and to apologize to each family member. And not one of those "I'm sorry." No. He needs to look each in the eye, say "I'm sorry," and explain how he understands what he said was wrong, how bad his decision-making was, in detail, and how you helped him understand this. Then he needs to thank you for making him grow into a better version of himself. I know this is a lot, and it's only recommendations, but if you take my advice/breakdown and he refuses, seriously consider dropping him. If he's like this now, either he will never grow up or he will take about 30 years longer for him to become a better person than a normal person does. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for taking my mom's side when she called my wife a gold digger?" I know the title sounds horrible and I feel weird because this is the first time I've ever sided with my mom over my wife. So my parents, divorced, are loaded. People sometimes think this means that I'm rich, but my dad hasn't given me anything since I was 21. And my mom stopped gradually but has not given me the same help she has given my sister. A home, cars, a trust. My mom doesn't know I know about this. I'm not saying they owe me anything, just establishing that I'm middle class. We got together as a family recently. This is very rare because my wife and my mom do not like each other. Someone brought up gold diggers, nothing in relation to my wife. My wife made a comment about how it must have been hard for me to date because women probably wanted my money. My mom responded, "What money?" My wife was like, "Well, there was a certain lifestyle." And my mom got an attitude and was like, "What money? Do you mean my money?" At this point, my wife got annoyed and tried to drop it. But my mom told my wife that she needs to pick her words carefully because that sounded kind of like a gold digger. My wife looked at me to defend her, and I normally do, but honestly, I get what my mom was saying. Also, she said it sounds like, which I feel is different from directly calling her a gold digger. My wife asked me if I was going to say anything, and I said to let the conversation go and that money was never my money. My mom proceeded to get pissy about how she feels my wife thinks we are getting that money to will, and that we need to have no expectations because she has put a lot of thought into it. At this point, I told my mom to drop it as well. I thought the rest of the day went fine, but when we got home, my wife was upset with me and said I should have defended her. She feels it was worse because the kids were there and I set a bad precedent. I'm torn, but just in regards to the money, I get what my mom was saying. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Your wife was empathizing with you and you demonstrated exactly the mindset she was being critical of. And Opie inadvertently told his wife she sounds like a gold digger for empathizing with him. And that's okay because they didn't say/think she is one directly. My significant other's parents were like this. Just poured money and opportunities on his sister but kicked him out at 17 and shipped him off into the military. Didn't even bother to teach him basic skills. If I stood up for him and he didn't have my back, I would have gone nuclear. You're the a-hole, OP. A big a-hole. Give your wife a hug for me and tell her I'm sorry she got such awful in-laws. You're the a-hole. Both you and your mother. Your wife was talking about your family having the appearance of wealth. That must have attracted some sleazy women who are only interested in that. She obviously wasn't referring to her own interest in your mother's death or inheritance or whatever your dark minds went to. The fact that you both jumped to conclusions reminds me that wealth does not bring class. You're the a-hole. Your wife was just making an observation. She never said that she dated you because of the money. I don't see why your mom immediately jumped in with attitude about her money. And then your wife tried to drop it and your mom wouldn't let it go. So yeah, I think you should have defended her. Unless you actually do think she married you for your money, which you say you don't have. I don't. But the language about the money has been a point of contention for years. And two people refused to speak to my wife because she continuously used the words family money. I'd say the phrase family money is 40% of the reason my mother doesn't really speak to me these days. And I've talked to my wife about how she needs to not think about it as my money because it will never be mine again. But like, you were raised in a wealthy family. For a good chunk of your life, it was family money. You had opportunities and an upbringing that a lot of kids only dream of. Even if you were not benefiting from these things now, how is your wife supposed to refer to this wealth you experienced? Is your mom only angry that she's not being credited as owning the money? Is your wife making presumptuous statements that you will one day inherit the money? I don't get it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister's boyfriend she actually couldn't draw? Hey guys, I'm 16 female and my sister Amy is 18 female. My sister and I are really close. We are rather similar too. Example, having the same interests. But what made me different from her was that I love art, and I'm an artist. Drawing is what I'm best at, and I spend several hours a day drawing. Amy never cared for art, and she isn't good at it. For background, 4 months ago, Amy was forced by her form teacher to join an art festival. Since she couldn't draw, she begged me to draw something for her. I accepted under the condition that she wouldn't flaunt this art outside of the festival as hers. I spent over 80 hours drawing my best work, and Amy was overjoyed. She won gold in the festival and I was really happy. Now, about 2 months ago, Amy found a boyfriend, long distance. He loves art, so she told him she was an artist. He actually never asked for a picture of her drawings until now, because he asked for a picture a few days ago. Amy, without asking for my permission, showed the art I made for her festival. He was amazed and said she was a professional artist. The funny thing is, Amy actually never told me any of these things. Her birthday was yesterday and her boyfriend posted something really sweet on Instagram for her. He made a slideshow of her pictures, and guess what? One of the pictures was the art from the festival, as well as another of my work. I felt really hurt and confused. I'll admit that I was jealous. The post was full of comments amazed by her artistic talent. And, well, I just felt betrayed. This is where I might be the a-hole. In a fit of disbelief, I messaged her boyfriend and said that the art, they were all my works. I had pictures of me drawing those, and I showed him. He was shocked and mad at Amy for lying to him. He ended up telling her he needed time to reconsider their relationship, as he thinks trust is the most important factor. She found out what I did and went berserk. She yelled at me for destroying her relationship and making her seem like a liar. She said because of my jealousy, I made her lose her boyfriend. She went to stay at a friend's house, and I feel really freaking guilty. Amy was so happy with her boyfriend that I could have kept my anger in check. However, my mom told me it wasn't my fault and that Amy messed up her own relationship. Am I the a-hole? So your sister is a liar and she's angry at you for outing her as a liar? Definitely not the a-hole. I hope you guys patch things up. But if you play silly games, you win silly prizes. I think anyone would be rightfully upset about their siblings stealing their art and attempting to pass it off as their own. Mad at Amy for lying to him. He ended up telling her he needed time to reconsider their relationship, as he thinks trust is the most important factor. I think that's a wise choice on his part. That's the thing with liars. You cannot ever know if anything they say is true. I would think, well, if they're comfortable lying, claiming someone else's art is theirs, what else will they lie about? You're not the a-hole and didn't make your sister seem like a liar. She is a liar. Yeah, just follow up with, how did I make you seem like a liar? Because her only answer is, because you exposed my lie, or some version of the same.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to consider being an organ donor for my abusive father, even after my siblings begged me to save him? My father was abusive to me, 20s male, but was never abusive to my siblings, all 8+ years younger than me. We're full siblings. He is my father as much as theirs, but he always treated me like crap. And our mother allowed it, so I don't have anything too nice to say about her either. In her own way, she tried to be there for me, but she didn't save me from him, and she sure as heck didn't prioritize making my life better. The abuse my father inflicted on me was physical and emotional, and it lasted my entire childhood. I know he never did the same to my siblings. They've told me, and I know not everyone can see it, but I have witnessed him with them, and the difference is night and day. I'd even say he was a good parent to them, and if I didn't exist, he could be called a good father overall. But I was there, and he did abuse and hate me. He didn't care what happened to me. I'm not going into specifics about which organ or what his condition is, but my father is now sick and needs a transplant. Think kidney or liver. I'll also say it wasn't self-inflicted, because I know that gets asked when stuff like this comes up. My mother and siblings were all tested and didn't match. My father's siblings and some of their kids were tested and there wasn't a match. Some of his friends got tested and they weren't a match. He's on the transplant list, but he's getting sicker, and they don't know if a match will come forward in time. My siblings reached out to me to ask me to get tested and donate if I'm a match. They told me it's looking really bad and he could die. They said they can't lose him, and they know I hate him. They know he put me through hell and mistreated me, but they wanted me to do it for them instead of for him, so they can have him for however many more years. They were pleading and frantic, and even offered to make sure I got some money from our parents to make up for everything. I felt bad for them and how awful they felt, but I told them I couldn't put myself through something like that to save his life. I said even for them, it was too big of an ask. They brought up how serious this is again, and I told them I know, but it won't be from me if he gets what he needs. I told them I needed them to accept it and focus on being there with him. They said some stuff after. I won't go into it all. And I'm not even mad because they're still so young and their experience with a man is so different than mine. None of them were ever abused, but I have grappled with whether I should have agreed. For them, at least getting tested, and knowing if everyone else wasn't a match, the likelihood I would be was tiny anyway, and I could have spared them the upset. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. But have you considered lying? Your father will be dead soon. Your siblings may have been unaware of the abuse or too young to contemplate it. If there's even the remotest chance you want to continue a relationship with them now as adults, the only family you have left, I presume, then cutting them off to get back at your father may not be the best choice. Obviously, you're not going to get tested and donate a kidney, but just tell them you got tested and you're not a match. Then they'll stop asking you. We've talked about the abuse I suffered at the hands of our father. So they're aware and they know it happened. They believe it happened. But they had such a different father than I did that it's not as easy for them to hate him. I haven't considered lying because if the truth ever got out, and typically stuff comes out even if you try your best to contain it, then I wouldn't have saved the relationship anyway. Anyway, I'm not cutting them off. They might choose to cut me off, but that'll be their choice. I'd love to keep our relationship going. If you go to get tested and tell the doctors you're feeling pressured into making this decision, they will put you in their files as not a match. Just something to consider. Do they actually do that, or just reject you as a donor if you're not doing it of your own free will? Because I didn't think they could lie like that on record. I knew they could reject you for different reasons, though. I donated a kidney a few years ago. One of the things they'll do is if you tell the clinic you're being pressured to donate, not only will they disqualify you right out the gate, they'll come up with a medical reason why you're not eligible. They take the voluntary nature of the thing very serious. Telling your family to kick rocks would be justified, but if you want to not rock the boat quite so hard, this would be a good way to do that. I'll consider if I want to go that far then. My gut says no, that I just want to keep my firm no and move on with my life. But I guess I have to weigh, do I want to try and make this less straining to my relationship with my siblings? Next story. Am I the a-hole for wishing my dad good luck when all he has left is his affair partner because he won't see my brother in the hospital when she's not welcome? My dad cheated on my mom with Fiona. We found out 3 years ago, and my parents got divorced because of it. And Dad married Fiona. Dad and Mom have me 16 and my brother 13. We don't like Fiona, and I don't like Dad either. My brother still has mixed feelings about Dad and wants a relationship with him, but not with Fiona. But my brother still mostly keeps Dad at arm's length because Dad comes with Fiona. To give some more info on other things, I spoke in court about not wanting to go to my dad's house, and the judge didn't listen. In my state, they never have to listen to kids, which means anyone under 18. A judge could choose to, but it's rare that they will when no physical abuse is involved. My brother wanted to spend less time at Dad's house, and that was another thing. Our voice doesn't matter in that either. Not even mine at 16. So we're 50-50 with our parents. The other thing is Fiona has tried to get close to us. She has acted all sweet and caring, like she wants us to be family, and she has cried when we rejected her. I'm ruthless about it too, and told her I will never be her friend and never be her willing family, and to accept it. I told her she is nothing in my eyes and is just as disgusting as Dad. Fiona was our neighbor for a while and knew about Mom and us, so while Dad is primarily the bad guy, she's not innocent. Dad and I fight regularly about it. So, my brother has pretty severe asthma and he was hospitalized almost 3 weeks ago. My brother made it clear to the hospital staff that he didn't want Fiona to visit him, so she's not allowed in. Because of that, Dad refused to visit, even when my brother asked to see him. My brother stopped calling him after that and ignores any calls Dad makes. My dad had some friends over and he complained to them about the whole thing. When they left, I told him that I hoped he was prepared to never see me or my brother again, and good luck when all he has left is his affair partner. He told me not to speak about Fiona like that and to stop speaking to him like that. I told him that's what Fiona will be until the day she dies, just like he will be a cheater until the day he dies. He told me stopping all contact with a parent for loving their partner is wrong. I rolled my eyes, and he's still whining about what I said. He told Mom I had no right to speak to him that way. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your dad chose his affair partner over his son's well-being. Actions have consequences. He can't expect love and respect when he won't even show up for his own kid in the hospital. Best 18th B-Day present for you is the ability to go no contact with him. Yep, it can't come fast enough. Write him a really colorful letter before you go no contact, so he can really stew in it. Oh, and if he dares to contact you, post his number on Craigslist under giving old car parts for free. Every time. Works like a charm. I considered sending him a really badly written text, because that stuff drives him crazy. I have no sympathy for a man who refuses to visit his son in the hospital unless his affair partner wife can come too. Dad stepped over a line he can't come back from. His son asked him to come and Dad refused unless he got his way. Then he has the audacity to demand an apology? Oh, hell no. The fact he thinks my brother will get over it too. But Dad acts like he's the one who has the right to be mad that we're shunning his affair partner. Tough break. You and your brother have every right to be angry. Your dad's an a-hole. You and bro should look into petitioning the courts to live with your mother, especially in light of him not even visiting your brother in the hospital. It won't make a difference. The court won't listen to us because we're under 18 and they don't have to. We tried. We tried so hard before, but it wasn't happening. Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my grandparents throw my dead dad in my mom's face? My dad died 6 years ago. I, 17 male, was 11. My mom started dating a year later, and she met husband number 2 within a few months. He was a single dad with a 4-year-old son at the time, and because he wanted his son to have a mom, they moved fast and got married within a year. My mom was pregnant a few months later. She now has 2 biological kids with her husband, and she calls her stepson her son, and he calls her mom. I don't know why, but a few weeks ago, my mom made this big deal out of giving each of the other kids something that had belonged to my dad. It was nothing huge, but I didn't like it and told Mom she shouldn't give Dad's stuff away like that. It should be just for his family. Mom told me they were his family in spirit, and I said that was BS. She told me that my sister, 19 female, and I would get most of it and asked why I would hate my younger siblings getting something. I said they're not Dad's kids, and why would anyone think it was normal? She told me I was overreacting and said they were just things anyone could own. I said that wasn't the point. Those were Dad's things. I asked if she ever thought about how gross it might feel to give stuff that belonged to the man who died to make room for these kids. 2 who wouldn't exist, and 1 who would still be a stranger if Dad hadn't died. She told me to never speak like that again, and she punished me for saying it. My sister was so mad when she found out that she came home from college just to pack up her share of Dad's stuff, and she told Mom not to speak to her. Mom told her she was being unreasonable and should try to understand what she was doing. My sister told her she was being weird and that it showed what she thought of us, doing it without finding out if we'd be okay with it. We both told our dad's parents about it. They were shocked and assumed we had misunderstood, so they came and asked Mom if it was true. And she said yes. She said it was only small stuff, but that they're all her kids and Dad is still one of her husbands, and her husband was cool with it because they weren't sentimental things. Grandma got more upset because one of the things Mom gave away was a stuffed animal Grandma's mom had bought for Dad before she died. Dad had only just been born at the time, so it meant a lot to Grandma. She told Mom she had always wanted that left in the family, and that Mom had always said my sister and I would get our choice of stuff, and then them, before anything else was disposed of or given away. She said she had refused to let us take anything until now, and yet Mom gave things away anyway. Mom said they stayed in the family, and my grandparents exploded. They told her that my dad would be disgusted with what she did, and they hoped she enjoyed disrespecting her first husband and the kids she had with him, because that's exactly what she did. Then they called Mom a liar and said it was awfully convenient that she pulled a stunt like this. My mom got upset and told them to leave. She said throwing Dad in her face like that was uncalled for. When they were gone, she turned to me and asked how I could let them do that to her. I told her they weren't wrong in my opinion, and if I could ignore her like my sister is right now, I would. My mom demanded an apology a few days ago for letting it happen. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your dad's things should only go to his family, not her new one. Mom disagrees, and she's not changing her mind, which sucks. I hate that she did this. Not the a-hole. While yes, they can be considered your family if you want to see them as that, but they are not your father's family. She has no right to give anything away without letting you or your sister know. She didn't even let us pick out the stuff we wanted. She kept saying it wasn't time. We both had to be 18. She said the same to Dad's parents and siblings. Man, I got secondhand anger reading that. That's pretty messed up. You were nicer to her than I would have been. If you both had to be 18, then why is she giving things away to children even younger than you? That's the thing that pisses me off most. I think it pisses us all off the most. We didn't get to choose the stuff we wanted and take them. It's not like she gave her stuff left from dad to them. She gave the stuff we should have been allowed to choose from. Last story. Am I the a-hole for threatening to cancel my wedding that my dad is paying for if he invites his brother? My fiancé and I are getting married in May and decided that we didn't want to have a traditional large wedding. We had always really wanted to get married at the courthouse. A big reason for this is because we didn't want to have to deal with the drama that comes along with not inviting people who think they are entitled to be invited, specifically my uncle and his wife. My parents were very upset about the courthouse idea because they wanted more of a celebration, so we compromised and rented a big vacation house to get married at. It wasn't exactly what we wanted, but we were still happy to do it this way. My parents paid for the house. We invited about 10 people, including 2 couples that my parents are friends with. But now my dad is insisting we invite his brother. I have always felt very strongly about not inviting my dad's brother and his wife to our wedding, no matter how small our ceremony is. They are extremely entitled people, have spread many false rumors about my family, and trash-talked us behind our backs, all while trying to maintain the guise of being one big, perfect, loving family. Put simply, I don't care how closely related I am to them. I do not have any sort of affection for them, and I certainly don't trust them. Now my dad is using the fact that he is paying for everything as a way to control his brother getting invited. He says it's also a celebration for him too, so he wants his brother there, even though he will have other friends and family there. I say it's my wedding day, and I don't want to spend it with someone who has treated us like we're beneath him his whole life. My fiancé and I have already compromised for my parents by getting married at this house in the first place. We don't need to make any more compromises for them. My dad is not budging and is accusing me of being selfish and petty. So now my fiancé and I are strongly considering canceling it all and going back to our original courthouse plans. Seeing us get married is a privilege, not a right. So, am I the a-hole here? Does my father actually get more say since he is the one paying for everything? I don't understand the problem. You didn't want this bigger wedding in the first place. Why not just tell him if your uncle is invited, you're going back to a courthouse wedding? This is exactly what I'm doing now. He's telling me I'm being petty and immature for going back to my original plans. Are you planning to allow your parents to attend the courthouse wedding? If so, tell your dad that if he doesn't quit trying to make your wedding all about what he wants, he won't be witnessing it at all. If he keeps calling you petty and immature, just uninvite him and have the courthouse wedding that you want. Not the a-hole. The only reason you're having this extravaganza is as a favor to your dad. If he crosses your boundaries by inviting his brother, you're fully justified to change to the little wedding you wanted in the first place. In fact, you should probably cancel the big wedding unconditionally at this point. You can't trust your dad to keep your uncle out. Even if he were to reassure you uncle wouldn't be invited, he's taken your wedding and turned it into his party. I do think that, in the long run, you'll look back on your courthouse wedding and be content that you got exactly what you wanted. 100% this. If he says okay he's not invited, I'm completely sure the uncle and wife will show up anyway. Call or text everyone and tell them the wedding at the house is off. Do your courthouse wedding. If you are inviting them to the courthouse, make sure it is known the uncle is not invited and he will be escorted off the grounds if he shows up.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend an apology dinner after my mother-in-law called me a bad mother at my son's funeral? I lost my son to congenital heart disease, and he did not survive the open heart surgery at the age of 1 year and 6 months. He was the greatest blessing I had in my life. Everyone kept telling me things will get easier with time. I know that no matter how much time goes by, I'll still be missing my baby and everything sweet about him. Mother-in-law and I were in constant conflict. Things always been bad between us, but in those months we reached our limit. She kept getting involved in my son's treatment and criticized every decision I made, claiming I didn't know how to handle my son's illness. We went low contact. but she kept causing issues occasionally. My husband was torn between our son's illness and his mother's issues. When my son passed away, she came to the funeral and caused a scene by arguing with me, knowing I had no energy for it. She used the fact that everyone was there so she could say it was my fault my son was born sick, and I didn't take care of him properly, that I didn't listen to her when she suggested other ways to treat his condition, and that I was the one who took their grandchild away from them and caused them heartache. She then loudly called me a bad mother. I had no idea how I kept my composure and kept standing on both feet. My mom and sisters responded by telling her to leave. My husband was sitting down crying. She then went to tell everyone I kicked her out as a way to hurt her further, and lied that I convinced my husband to ban her from visiting her grandson's grave. My husband later sent his side of family an email talking about my mother-in-law's behavior during and after our son's illness, and telling them he will no longer be seeing her. That had the family criticizing us, saying mother-in-law was just trying to do what was best for her grandbaby, and called us selfish for assuming we're the only ones struggling with this tragedy. We haven't seen his mom in 1 year and 8 months. I'm now 3 months pregnant. No one knew except my sister-in-law, brother-in-law's wife, but word got out, though we told her not to say anything. A week later, I had family members saying I was invited to a dinner hosted by mother-in-law so she could both apologize in front of the whole family and settle this issue before the baby's born. They said mother-in-law was regretful and offered to financially provide for her grandbaby, and they want to see that. I refused, but my husband surprisingly wants me to go. He had his grandparents calling me telling me that I'm a person with a good heart, and forgiveness is something I'm capable of giving. I told them I'll never be sitting at the same table with a person who called me a bad mother at my child's funeral. I still remember it vividly till this very day. My sister said this change of heart from mother-in-law is probably for the new baby. It could be, but I insisted I won't come. They're saying I'm making hard for everyone to move on and past this and resolve the pain and should really go. Now for the top comments. Not day home. I work in nursing in ICU and I see people like your mother-in-law often. You were done so dirty and no one, absolutely no one will understand what you and your husband went through and the kind of horrific choices you had to make. People like to think modern medicine can cure anything, and it's just not true. Treatments can be ugly, invasive, and even lethal, and I would never blame you for a second for trying anything possible to keep your baby in this world. I also wouldn't blame you for a second if you decided not to go through with some of these harsh treatments. There is no right answer in these situations. Only you get to decide. I'm so sorry for your loss, and that you had to go through that. Maybe I'm biased, because I see people like you at work, making decisions no one should ever have to make while getting yelled at by other family who won't even come to visit the freaking patient. Easy to throw stones when you don't have to make such heavy decisions. You are so within your rights to never forgive that woman. I hope the best for your current pregnancy, and I'm sure this little light will help remind you and your husband what familial love really is. I felt sick to my stomach reading this. The pure audacity of this woman is beyond words. I have 2 thankfully healthy boys, and imagining going through with them what you did with your son makes me want to cry. How heart-shatteringly lonely, lost, and utterly destroyed you and your husband must have felt with her acting like an idiot towards you, instead of being a support you surely needed. She made your son's illness and tragic passing about herself, to posture in some weird way that if she had gotten to make the decisions, none of this would have happened. I'm assuming she's not a specialist doctor of some kind, so she had no footing to stand on. If she's a doctor, I'm at loss for words to describe how messed up that is too. I like the other poster suggestion. Make it clear to your husband that he is free to socialize with his mother, but it will never be in your shared home or in the presence of you or the baby. I feel this woman is unhinged enough to try to get grandparents' rights, call CPS on you if you disagree with her on something. The money offers further manipulation to try and wrest even more control for herself. Oh, you won't let me actively undermine your parenting? No. No more money then. Not Day Hall. Should be dead to me. F off into oblivion. My sister said this change of heart from mother-in-law is probably for the new baby. It absolutely is. She isn't sorry that she harassed stressed-out parents who are trying to manage the health care of a gravely ill baby. She isn't sorry that she berated a grieving mother at the baby's funeral. She is sorry that the consequences of her abhorrent behavior have led to her being denied access to a grandchild. There is absolute proof of this. And the fact that she wasn't sore until she learned a new baby's on its way. Some things should not be forgiven, and frankly, her behavior falls into that category. You are not the a-hole here and should not compromise. The only thing that matters for the next 6 months are your health and stress levels, and both can be best managed by immediately removing from your life anyone insisting on renewing contact with someone who abused you. You should tell your husband that no means no, and he's not to bring this up again. It's not up for discussion. Please also visit r/justknowmother-in-law for help on how to set boundaries and stick to them, and for the support you may need in doing so. First of all, thank you for taking the time to talk about my issue. I don't get enough people who can understand what I have been going through, especially now during my pregnancy. Some people expect me to be thrilled with no excuse like my pregnancy is supposed to erase or make up for my loss. It's the opposite. I worry too much over little issues, and to some it's normal, but I find myself stressing out all the time. I try to take it slow and continue with my therapy. I haven't directly talked to mother-in-law, but I have talked to everyone in the family. They keep saying she's sincere and wants nothing more than for us to be able to move past this conflict. I truly don't feel okay with the idea of having to sit with her at the dinner table after all she's said and done. No matter what her purpose is, I'm completely against it. My grief is still raw and I'm not ready to see her. I don't think I'll ever be. It might sound awful, but I'm not feeling I could give her what she wants. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to throw a party for my daughter's coming out? My female 44 mother died last week after a very long battle against cancer, and I'm completely devastated. She got pregnant with me after a very traumatic event, and despite the pressure from my grandparents and the trauma, she refused to have a termination. They threw her out when she was 16, with no money, no support, but that didn't deter her. And as far as I can remember, she has always been the greatest and most loving mother. She was my hero, my best friend, and I don't know how I will be able to overcome her death. 2 hours after my mother's death, my daughter Emily, female 20, decided that it was the perfect time to come out to cheer me up. Her words, not mine. I must admit that I was very unsettled by the loss of my mother, but I still tried to tell her that I was happy for her. Maybe not as happy as she expected, but I really tried to show her my love and support because she's my baby, and I want her to be happy and to know that I love her. The next day, she came to me saying that she forgave me for my attitude, and that she wanted to talk about the preparations for a coming out party. I was a little confused, but I asked her when she wanted to throw that party, and she said the coming Friday. I told her it was not possible because it was the day of her grandmother's funeral, that we could do it the next week, but not now. She was silent for a solid minute, and then all hell broke loose. She starts screaming at me, telling me that I'm a bad mother, as rotten as my grandparents, that I don't support her because I'm a freaking homophobic, that her girlfriend was right, that I'm a useless witch. I didn't even know that she had a girlfriend. I was so shocked I wasn't able to answer her, and it was my husband, alerted by the screams, who came and told her to leave our house immediately. Since that day, she refused to talk to me, my husband, or her brother. She doesn't answer our calls or messages, and she did not come to her grandmother's funeral. She told all her friends that I'm homophobic, that I've rejected her because of her true nature. All I can do is crying. I feel empty and heartbroken. Now I feel like an a-hole because I can't help but think that I was too focused on my pain, that I was not supportive enough, that maybe I should have made an effort and said yes for that party because it was important for my daughter. Everything is very confused right now, and I really need a different point of view. Not the a-hole. You are grieving and you wanted to throw a party? She sounds like a very self-centered person. The worst. Not the a-hole. Even if it wasn't a funeral, are you obligated to throw a party about it anyway? I would say the expectation is that you accept her. She doesn't need a party. Not the a-hole. And when are you kicking out your 20-year-old ungrateful daughter? She'll spin it as homophobic. And who freaking cares? She's already done that. Your daughter, by what you describe, is a self-centered little brat who needs to be out on the street to see who really supports her. She forgave your attitude? WTF? Your mother just died and she moves the spotlight to her. Ridiculous. If my kid pulled out some BS like this, I'd give them 2 suitcases on the sidewalk with their clothes already packed. My daughter doesn't live with us, but we were helping her paying her rent because she lost one of her job and money's tight. Husband wants us to stop helping her. I know that he's right, and we will surely stop helping her. But I can't help but feeling bad. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I won't be visiting his mother for Mother's Day? My husband is gone for military duties, and he called me today to ask if I would be going over next weekend to visit his mother for Mother's Day, to which I said no. Then I had to rehash what happened last year for my first Mother's Day. Backstory. Last year was my first Mother's Day. My baby girl was born September 2019, so May 2020 was my first Mother's Day. During a pandemic. My husband spent the day with me, but his mother called him and complained that we had not gone over to her house for Mother's Day. I told him he was more than welcome to go, but the baby and I were staying home and hanging out and enjoying my first Mother's Day. He had gone to his mother's on Friday for Mexican Mother's Day. I ordered her Mother's Day card and flowers and he took them to her. She never acknowledged the gifts, to me anyway. On the day of Mother's Day, the only people to contact me from my husband's family were my father-in-law and brother-in-law, and they both wished me a happy first Mother's Day. I was beyond grateful and expressed that to them. Shortly after Mother's Day, mother-in-law called me and told me she was upset that I didn't go to her house on Mother's Day. I politely told her that I too was hurt that she didn't even acknowledge me on my first Mother's Day. I also told her how the year prior when I was pregnant, she went out of her way to make comments to me about not being a mother yet when my father-in-law wished me happy almost Mother's Day. I was extremely hurt, but I kept it to myself. I had miscarried 2 babies prior to finally having my baby. I always felt like a mother. Her comments were hurtful. Mother-in-law then proceeded to tell me that she didn't need to acknowledge me on Mother's Day because I'm not her mother. I told her fair enough, but don't expect me or my child to celebrate you, because by your definition, you are not my mother, and you are not the mother of my child. She never apologized for her hurtful comments. We are cordial now a year later, but after that, I decided that I didn't want to spend any Mother's Day with her ever again. I brought this up to my husband, and he told me I need to suck it up, move on, and go over to his mom's. I said no. I am celebrating with my daughter and my own mother, and I have plans during the weekend anyway. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Enjoy your Mother's Day, Mama. Opie's husband seems a little controlling. Trying to force her to go over there just seems weird. Good on her for not going anyways, but this kind of raises some red flags about him. Opie's husband is a mama's boy who never cut the cord. That's going to continue to be a problem, so keep putting your foot down, OP. He wants to sweep her horrible behavior under the rug so no one rocks the boat. She's an adult who needs to take accountability for her behavior. Not the a-hole. The problem here is your husband, not the a-hole. Yeah, I think the husband needs to stop sucking it up and finally let his balls drop. Not the a-hole. OP, you do you, boo. Happy Mother's Day. Not the a-hole. You're celebrating with your own mother and your husband is responsible for his. Even if he isn't in town, he can send her flowers at a card or call if that's available. That's what I suggested, that he could have flowers delivered to her. Send her a gift. Call her. Not my mother, not my responsibility. I'm responsible for one woman in Mother's Day, and that's my own mother. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law nobody forced her to come when she complained about my food? My sister-in-law and I got along really well when my husband and I first met and were first married. Then she took offense when I ended up missing her 30th birthday party because I already had prearranged, prepaid plans with a couple of my friends. To clarify, the party was not on her actual birthday. It was 2 weeks earlier, and so I didn't see any reason to check the date with her. But she could not accept me picking them over her, which is how she views it. Even my husband told her it wasn't fair to expect me to lose out, when it's not like I planned it on her actual birthday. But it hasn't been the same since. Ever since, whenever we're hosting my in-laws or whenever we bring food, she criticizes it. My husband and the rest of the family have called her out on being ungrateful. They have told her that she should let the party thing go, but she doesn't. My cooking or baking was never an issue before she got pissed about me not being there for her birthday. She used to ask me for recipes and would cook together for Christ's sake. This past weekend, we hosted a small dinner with family, both sides, to celebrate the impending arrival of mine and my husband's first child. Kind of like a baby shower, but smaller and much less fuss. Sister-in-law was going off on the food again, and I had enough. I told her nobody was forcing her to come if she hated my food so much, and maybe we would all be better off without her constantly crap-talking me through everything, even such a happy occasion. She was pissed. She was so pissed. Even more when only one relative, another sister-in-law, came to her defense or called me out. It's now created tension between the family, and I've been called a witch, an a-hole, a petty witch, all sorts of other stuff, and I feel bad for lashing out the way I did. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you handled it perfectly. In the future, her choices are show up and shut up, you win. Stay home, you win. Show up and run her mouth again, in which case you can laugh. Roll your eyes in front of everyone and say, there she goes again. To make things even more fun, start a betting pool for how long it will take her to complain. Or if she has enough standard insults/tells, start a bingo card. The first person who gets bingo using her insults wins. Not the hell, by the way. If family members don't come to your defense when she insults you, they can't complain when you stick up for yourself. Where's your husband in all this? Why isn't he laying down the rules of behavior with his own sister in your own home? I'd stop inviting her. About time she experienced some consequences. Not the hell. This. What is your husband doing to stop this? It's his family, so he needs to make sure this harassment ends. Not the hell.